Hello, friends and family. I thought I owed you an explanation to let you know what's going on. Your prayers have carried me through a lot of this. But if you're following my drama, here we go. I went to the oncologist this morning. Oh, I had a severe allergic reaction. I don't know if you can see on here. Yeah, you can. Still have a bruise in my skin. It feels strange, but it's nothing like it was. It was swollen, triple the size, and it went into this arm. Both were swollen beyond belief and painful. I've never felt anything like that before. It was like they said I might have tingling in my fingers. No, I had no tingling in my fingers. It was my whole arm. I couldn't touch anything. If a blanket touched it when I was laying down, I would be in severe pain. My clothing would set it off. I could not touch anything cold. Anything. I mean, he said it's a normal reaction, but it was like 100 times more. Of course, when I do something, I do it, all the way. It was ridiculous. I thought I was dying. It was horrible. And my heart, I had chest pains for the first time since my heart attack. And that scared me. It was horrible. I feel so relieved now to feel better. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. I couldn't swallow. My throat was choking up so bad, guys. It was so bad that I couldn't swallow. I couldn't even swallow the medication. And I was getting dehydrated because I couldn't drink. In my arms, I mean, you never ever know how much something small, like being able to use your arms, is a blessing until you no longer have that ability. And so we went through all the financial aid to get me help. Praise God, they got it for me, but I was allergic to the medicine. I mean, allergic. When I go big. I mean, it was terrible. I ended up in the emergency room. They had to try to give me the smallest, tiniest pills they could find because my throat was locked up. My arms were locked up. My legs were having spasms. It was horrible. It doesn't sound as bad now that I'm telling you. That's my little papa. Bless his heart, my little buddy stayed with me the whole time. And on top of this, I was deathly worried about Edward because Edward's my little buddy. And we talk every day, and I hadn't heard from him at all. And, I think it was a week, but of course I was at home recovering. I didn't know if he'd been on, and when I got on, I was able to use my hands a little bit. They still do it. If I go, can you imagine, it's hot, and you want to drink something cold, and you forget, right? I have bunnies. I have to feed my bunnies. And I go to touch the refrigerator, and it's like, it was terrible. I can laugh now, but I am so thankful to the Lord and to Abba that I'm still here. I just knew I was going to die. I had some of the strangest side effects. Even the emergency room said, these are strange. Well, I have allergic reactions to about 15 different medications. I was very sick as a child, and I went through this, and the doctor will never give me a full dose of any medication. He always cuts it in half. And so, anyway, this is a new doctor, right? He doesn't know me, and I'm trying to explain to them, and they're thinking, I know what they're thinking. My mother was an emergency room nurse. I was raised in the emergency room of John Peter Smith. I know what they think when people say they have reactions. They think that they're making it up, which I am not. I was so sick, and they finally looked up my records, thought, oh, she really is. She's allergic to all this stuff. She's had reactions. It had my reactions down there, and anyway, and my daughter's the same way, bless her heart. My mom was the same way, too, and it's a horrible way because nobody understands. They want to try it and see what happens and send you into shock. But anyway, I am so thankful Abba, Yeshua, have brought me through that. I really thought I would be dead by now. And okay, anyway, here I finally bring myself up out of this depression. I kick myself in the tail end and I say, you quit feeling sorry for yourself. You get out there. God has given you a job to do, and you watch over the people that God has put in your life. I check on Robbie. Robbie's my spiritual son. We've known each other, I think, 7 or 8 years. I don't know. Since he was 13. And there was a lady that was picking on him, and Anyway, we met that way, which makes me miss Gary, which was, I miss Gary to this day. He was disabled, but you'd never know it. Smart as a whip and loved God with all his heart. He passed away recently, and I still miss him. My brother passed away. I really miss him. And all my siblings are gone. Well, I have one, but she doesn't speak to me. Anyway, so I go to the oncologist. I'm already very nervous. I end up getting so nervous that I can't talk. I don't know why. I have all these things I'm going to ask him and tell him. And then when I get there, I always take my son. My mind goes blank. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I get there and he explains to me that the reason I had this severe allergic reaction is I could not afford a port. They wanted $4,000 for a port. I'm not made of money. Okay, when my sister died, I stopped caring about things. I gave everything I owned away. Didn't want anything holding me down. She was a bit of a hoarder. God bless her. And she had it was just so much of a mess when she left. That I got rid of everything I didn't need. I didn't want anything holding me to this earth. I wanted to be so heavenly minded, just worry about the Lord. So I gave everything I had away. If I had to sell something to survive, I'm out of luck, guys. So anyway, I had that horrible reaction. I go in. I'm nervous as everything. I thought I had gained weight. That's the one thing that worries me. Because my surgeon said, you're gaining weight. No, I'm not. I started out at 164. And I kept continually going down. The last time before the chemo, when I got sick, I was 129. Now I'm 127. And I know that would be good. All you women, you want to lose weight. Yeah, unless it's due to cancer. That wasn't so good because you don't lose weight. You lose it because you're sick. You end up looking like a Shar-Pei puppy because you're losing all your muscles. Oh, you gotta laugh, right? Laughter works good like a medicine. And anyway, I love you all for putting up with me, going through my trials with me. Thank you, Pastor Dave. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, David. Thank you, my friends on Facebook. I mean, there are two precious brothers from India that check on me every day. One from Africa. Love them to death. They're always there. And then we got Jeff and Miranda, and we've got oh yeah, I don't know who Grandma is, but if you know who Stephen Hodges is and his precious mama, Tammy, and then we got Grandma, and they all have been praying for me, and it's just been wonderful to have my family that's not blood, praying for me, brothers and sisters in the Lord. You've held me together, guys. You've held me together. And especially Robbie and little Michael and so many others that have been there and a lot that have left. But I'm not going to dwell on that. Anyway, my doctor's name is Krishad. Dr. Krishad, which for the first 3 visits, I couldn't remember the man's name. I'm horrible with names. He's a really sweet doctor. And I go in and I'm waiting and I'm thinking, I'm praying in my head, Lord. My head has gone blank again. I'm nervous because of all I've been through, and my arms are still, like I said, they still got bruises. This is nothing. This is good. I can live with this. That's my veins. That's where they put the first needle. Up here they put another needle. Well, you can't see the bruises on this one. Up here, they tried here. They really sucked it to me, let me tell you. And boy, did I feel it. It took 1 hour, and my arms were swollen, and they were shaking, and I couldn't lift anything. I couldn't use my arms. It was terrifying. It was like I was absolutely crippled, and I had to depend on my son to do everything, which you independent women out there know that'll really work your nerves. But I told him about my concerns, and he said, we have 3 choices. And these are the 3 choices. He said, 1, you can do absolutely nothing. His father had cancer, and he was allergic to the chemo, and he could not do chemo. And his cancer never came back. And he lived to be, I think he said 90, 91. Okay, but there is a 45% chance that it will come back. And when it does come back, it's not going to be curable, treatable. It's going to be worse. It always comes back worse, which I already know because my My sister had it come back and she passed away of lung cancer. And I was her caregiver. You wouldn't think that I would seem like I didn't know anything. I don't know much about this colon cancer scare. But I even worked with hospice. And I worked with Medicaid. But boy, when it comes to you and you're the caregiver and you're the one that always wants to care for people, it'll blow you away. It's just like, it's not normal. You want to help everybody. And you can't. You're the sick one. And it just drove me crazy. But anyway, God brought me through that. It's been a week now. I'm getting better. Still, I'll go in there. Like, my son got me this. I love it. I love Hello Kitty. This was my birthday present. And every time I would forget and I'd get a cold drink, okay, I can't drink anything cold. That's a side effect of this medicine. You cannot touch anything cold. Well, it's supposed to be ice cold. But in my case, it was anything, even lukewarm. I could drink nothing but coffee. And I love coffee. I was so sick of coffee. That's all that would go down my throat. My throat was swollen. Anyway, so I go to see Dr. Khurshid, and he comes in. And like I said, he's telling me about his dad. Because I asked him, I said, if I do nothing because of financial problems, what are my chances again? Because the first time I came in here, I was a bit out of it. I had just received the news. And I want to make sure that, I know everything. I know all the options. So he said, that's the first option. Do nothing and see if it comes back. But if it comes back, they could monitor me every 3 weeks. It usually comes back extremely fast. You see, I had stage 3 colon cancer. 1 lymph nodule out of 12 was positive for cancer. They removed the cancer. And I love Dr. Chan. He's a wonderful surgeon. He got it all. They got it all, but they never can be sure that there's not, minute little cancer particles in there that could be reactivated and come back in a worse way and really get you. So that's what we're trying to avoid. And my insurance didn't pay. There's no way I can afford $15,000 to get a port and one night in the hospital overnight. There's no way. We're like most of you out there. We're living, which I say we is my son and I'd be lost without him. We're living on $650 a week. And we're barely making it. And they keep wanting me to do all these tests, and I know they have my best interest at heart, but I can't do it. Because doing these tests to get these results and not being able to get treatment and losing my utilities or something and not having food is not a pretty thing. Although I do trust in Yeshua to provide, and he always has. And he knows I'm a worrywart. And so the second choice is, which I don't like, 6 months of chemo, but a lesser chemo. Because they had me on one of the strongest that there is, so I would only have to do it for 3 months. I was supposed to do 4 chemo treatments in my veins and take the chemo dissolving pills once in the morning, once at night. Quit, Papa. And I almost died. I can't. That one's off the table. He said, no, no more. And after this, he tells me he couldn't even believe that the nurses agreed to do it because he thought they would refuse to do it because it shouldn't go in your veins. Okay, I wish they'd let me in on that. But now that I know, they were trying to save my life. So he wants me to do a lesser. When I say lesser, that sounds stupid. My mind's like, I just got home. One that's not as strong, not as potent, doesn't have as many side effects. But I would have to do it every week for 6 weeks, but it would be 3 weeks on, 1 week off. There'd be no pills. Okay, that part, great. But they don't know how my veins are going to react. And that scares me because I have never hurt that way before. I've always had a high tolerance pain. I worked 12 hours passing kidney stones. And if any of you have had kidney stones, you know how that hurts. I went a week before I knew that I was having my appendix ruptured because I thought I was passing kidney stones. And stubborn as I am, I kept going. So I'm not a wimp. But it felt like, and there was one sister in one of the groups that said her grandmother described it like this, and no one understood. She said it felt like fire ants were in her veins and biting her all over her body. Perfect example. That is, yeah, that describes it to a T. So I could do the 6 months. Now I don't know how much that's going to cost. We had to get financial aid. We'd have to go through that again. He wants me to wait, which I was going to wait anyway. I already told the nurse, you're not taking my blood. Hey, can you imagine you're hypersensitive to anything cold? It sends you almost into shock, and they're wanting to put a freezing cold needle. They tried that at the ER. And they said, no, no way. I mean, everything in my body just froze up, just tight like that. And you talk about scream, and I never scream. It was horrible. But I do like the idea that there would be nurses there if something did happen, and I wouldn't have to take pills at home. It would be one time a week and over with. Or 3, I take the same pills that they gave me at the same time that they gave me the chemo. And I was asking him, how do we know that it was actually the chemo that did this and not the pills? He said, because it's a known side effect. It was like hyper, it went crazy on me. So, I don't know. And I would be at home taking the pills alone. 6 months. You have to prepare them in a special way. Keep them in a special place. Warm water. You can't crack them. You can't touch them. They have to be in a cup. 15 minutes. Every 10 minutes, you try to stir it to see, and when it finally dissolves 100% completely, you drink it within 5 minutes. And you get it every morning, every evening. 6 months? I don't know. I really don't want to do any of it, but the way things go for me, it'll come back and it'll kill me. I know it. The surgeon, my surgeon, which I love, told me. He said, I got it all. You're very healthy. You're 58 years old. You came through these other things with flying color. But, he said, I'm going to tell you right now, if it comes back, it's going to hit your lungs and your liver, and they may not be able to stop it. Okay, I respect this surgeon. I don't like doctors because, like I told you about where I was raised, you can tell the difference between a doctor that you're just another number to him and another paycheck, and they become numb, as to a doctor that this is his calling from God, and he loves people and he loves what he does. And that's what Dr. Chan is, and my heart doctor, Dr. Obaji. I'll tell you that story some other time. I was having a heart attack and the elevator stopped. I'm terrified of elevators. Lord help me overcome that through all of this, though. So those are my 3 options. And I have to think of that. Now, I have finally pulled myself up out of the feel sorry depression I was in. And I'm feeling good, and I'm saying, in the name of Yeshua, I'm going to march forth. I've got the Lamb on my side. My Abba's with me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. And, I'm just spouting scriptures and lifting myself up, listening to praise songs and thanking the Lord and all this, and saying, God has not given us the spirit of fear, and on and on. And I go to the mailbox, and I forget, and I shock my hand because I touched the doorknob, which is metal. You forget. You honestly take these things for granted, guys. And I get a little zit. It's not as bad. It's not a zzz. It's zit. And so I'm going to check the mail. I get an electricity bill, guys. $380. $380. Okay, my rent is $600. No central air and heat. Nothing. Stove's not even working right now. Mostly eat vegetables anyway. Mostly kale and baked potatoes and avocados, and which right now I have nothing because I was prepared to be in the house for a week, but no one prepared me that I wouldn't be able to eat. So all that food went bad. I'm going to have to replace it. But there's no way. I mean, I've lived here, okay? And when I was taking care of my sister, now it's all on my son, bless his heart. Without him, I wouldn't know what I'd do. But when I was working, my sister, we helped her get in the house next door, and her roommate, no funny stuff. They were actually roommates. Larry Bob, he was a friend of hers from college. They were both disabled. He suffered from neuropathy. He suffered from high blood pressure. He had diabetes, a little bit of mental illness, and I took care of him. And my sister had lung cancer, and she had scoliosis. She had quite a few things as well, and I took care of them. And the whole time, I've lived there 10 years. Was it 10? 10, 11. My electricity bill with window units, okay? And this is in the heat of summer, 115 degrees it was then. I think it was 2016. Bill never went over 216. And they hit me with a $400 bill. And so I called up there and I said, come out here and check my meter. There's no way. Because, like I said, I was going through all this. If I wasn't up at the doctor's, I was here in bed, unable to turn the light on, just laying there because I couldn't move. I hadn't been doing anything. There had been no air on, no heat on, nothing. I mean, there's no reason for it. And they've changed my meter 4 times. They say they're 99% accurate, but they, for some reason, come out here and changed it 4 times, and I hadn't even complained back then. They just showed up and changed it. I don't like those smart meters anyway. I told them, you need to get somebody out here and check this meter because this is definitely not right. I've lived here and I went through the whole thing and I said, look, I was doing chemo at the time and I told them I can't move or anything. I'm about to do chemo again. You got to get somebody out here and get this straightened out. I can't afford this. And that's when they told me, your next bill is going to be almost $700. I'm like, ah! And I'm sitting there, help me, Lord. Help me, Lord. I can't do this because that's more than my rent. And if that happens, we're losing everything. So this is my drama, and I owed you. Since I feel better, today I feel better. I was able to get up. I'm going to tell my friends and family that have stuck with me what's going on. So that's what's going on. Those are my 3 options. Think about it. Let me hear what you think, okay? What's your opinion? Because it really does matter to me, my brothers and sisters in Christ, what you think, what your opinion is, or if you've been in this situation, what your experience was. And you see the walker back there? Yeah. I went from being in that walker, determination and prayer. Okay, they told me I would probably be like that for 2 weeks. 2 days, people. I couldn't walk. I was determined. I prayed. I got up. I started walking. They said they'd never seen anything like it before. And before that, I had a heart attack. I was out of the hospital in 24 hours. They said the same thing then. The funny thing is, when my appendix ruptured and I got sepsis, put me down I was in pain for months. That one almost killed me. The heart attack, the part of my colon being removed wasn't as bad as that. But God has brought me through it, and I need to learn to look at that. I see a lot of people that didn't come through that easy. But it's a choice, guys. I don't know. Do I do the chemo to save my life and risk losing our home and our utilities? Or just tell me what you think. Pray about it. Pray for me. Okay, I just want to be totally honest with you. I always have been. And that's why I haven't been on here. But I want you all to know that you're precious to me. The Lord loves you. And I know He's still on the throne. I know He's still in control. And, I'm sorry. My friend David just was sending me a text at the same time. But while I'm feeling good, I wanted to let you all know what's going on. And I love you all, and I cherish your prayers, your love, your support, your emails. Pastor Dave, thank you. Robbie, thank you. Michael, I love you. Thank you. Jeff and Miranda, thank you. David, thank you. David Welch, cuz. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you all. I love you all. Update. And forgive me for being a little bit kind of dingy. I know you're all laughing at me, but it just feels so good to be able to use your hands again and to get out of this bed. Okay. I love you. See you all soon. Bye-bye.